Welcome to the first ever episode. Well, technically the first episode. The other one was the
First real one.
intro where I, Dr. Mitch Israel, gave a synopsis of my journey on social media and growth, along with my friend here, Dr. Kyle Richmond. We are the virtual rehab bros, where we pick a topic and bro out about it when it comes to growing on social media, with the ultimate goal of turning that into an online business, building your brand, whether from a practice standpoint or just a personal professional, maybe both if you're thinking long-term goals.
We'll see.
Um, but Kyle, let me get you in here, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited we're finally doing this. This is something we've been talking about for a while. And then again, like I never thought I'd be a guy that has a podcast. This is hilarious, but also really awesome at the same time. I think because we now have something to offer and give that isn't like the same thing that everyone else is spinning, I think
Mhm.
it's gonna be very interesting for people.
Yeah, I mean, this spawned out of us just getting together, realizing, hey, wait, you grew on social media.
Yeah,
I
whoa.
grew on social media. We're both rehab chiropractors. Why don't we
Mhm.
just like talk and see what's up? And then that turned into weekly strategic talks between the two of us. And then we're like, dude, these are money concepts and conversations.
Yeah.
We should share these. We should share these with the people because it's no secret social media is a big tool, and it could be a
Mhm.
very lucrative tool if you know what you're
Yes.
doing and your goals align. And that's going to get into our first ever topic, where maybe it's going to be a 1A, 1B, as we talked about. Because the
Yeah,
first thing,
they're even. They're really close. It's like you have to have one and you have to have the other. Like they're right there.
yeah, I think 1B is the granddaddy of them all, but
Mhm.
you'll have to stay tuned till the end because we're going to talk about 1A first, and that's everybody's heard this. The riches are in the niches. Pick your niche,
Mhm.
pick your topic, what you're going to be doing
Right.
with your social media. So let's dive into that because I mean we're both rehab chiros, so
Right.
our niche is pretty similar. I would imagine not a lot of other professionals besides maybe chiropractors, physical
Right.
therapists, or coaches are going to listen to this. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing your niche is going to be something movement related, but more
Right.
specifically, diving deeper into that. Like, do you work with women only? Are you a pelvic floor physical therapist? Like,
Mhm.
you want to niche down as much as possible, especially at the beginning.
Right. I agree with that. So let's go over what our kind of niches is. For me, it's mobility. I used FRC based things to start, and that's why I was like, oh, hey, this is a cool topic that has also a very important thing. It has a lot to give, right? You can niche down to a certain point where you're like, I almost run out of ideas to post, and that almost pigeonholes you too much. So yeah, niche down a lot, but also remember you need to be able to produce content fairly regularly. But yeah, I known as like the mobility guy around here. Like everyone knows, like you do mobility content, which is great. I found that really early on, and it just blew up from there. And then
Mhm.
you're very similar. You're still mobility based things. You go ahead and tell them what you do.
Yeah, so I mean, my biases are similar but a little different.
Mhm.
I mean, following you for a little bit, like if I had to identify your niche, it's definitely mobility training, more specific to the very active and
Yes.
like the athlete population because they are
Yep.
more advanced moves. I'm more of your
Absolutely.
general mobility and movement guy where I show
Mhm.
anything from beginner to intermediate to advanced things. So I like to sprinkle across the
Right.
board. Not that one's better than the other, but it just
Yeah,
that's
different
that's what I
markets.
do all day because I see
Right.
Gen Pop where some
Mhm.
people can only do so much, all the way up to my
Right.
professional athletes who can do everything.
Mhm.
And I think both of us probably just produce content based on what we do for a living, which makes it
Right.
super easy to always
Yeah.
come up with content ideas.
Yeah, if you're practicing what you preach, like it's so easy. Like coming up with content for myself has never been the problem. That's now that that's set, it's done, fine. And now what you realize too is once you niche down really hard and then you start to experiment with other things, you'll find out what works and what doesn't. Now, if I post something that isn't really like the advanced mobility stuff, if I did something that was super basic, people are like, that's not why I follow you. And the engagement isn't there. So you have to still use that niche, but then branch different maybe forms of content. You can't just completely
Mhm.
throw that away. So I think we can start diving into that is when you niche down, like What does that look like for people?
Yes, and you want because this could handcuff you. Like you
Mhm,
mentioned, luckily, what you post online is what you're doing all day, every day. Same here. But
mhm,
if you choose a very specific niche, say you just want to do like kettlebell specific rehab, well,
mhm,
it's gonna be hard to grow if
right,
you want to use, like, dumbbells, for example, or barbells,
mhm,
because people are gonna follow you because of your specific niche. So it's very
right,
important to identify, like, where are you passionate, because that's gonna feed into the 1B strategy that's really gonna start to get you to grow online.
mhm. I agree. I agree. So the biggest thing is, when you niche down, right? And I've seen this for myself is, hey, I do a ton of mobility things, but then all of a sudden I start posting clinical stuff, like even just stuff in my clinic. It doesn't even look like the gym set anymore. People just, they kind of like, they almost scroll past it because it doesn't seem like my kind of content anymore. And I think when
Mhm,
people start early on, they just try to post everything they have, from their meals to their workout to the sleep they got to their
mhm,
recovery. And I tell people, you follow your friends for that stuff, right? Like, I'm gonna follow my best friends to see if they got engaged, they got a house, their dog every day. Like, I like that. If you're a big name on social media and you're not posting the content I followed you for, I'm very unlikely to engage in it and then still stay following you. So that's why it's so important. Yeah, you're growing a brand of who you are, but no one just wants
mhm.
to see everything you do because that's not what they're there for.
Yeah, that's why you really have to think of this as just your professional account. This is your
Mhm.
brand. This is how people are going to see you in the world. Not that you can't have a personal page. I think we both
Right.
have personal pages. I mean, I don't really use mine much anymore, but if you
So that's
want
what's
people to
funny.
know what you're doing, how big of a steak you ate last night. Oh, I closed out all my rings 30 days in a
Right.
row, like that kind of stuff. Like, sure, it's important to practice what you preach, but people aren't following for your progress. They're following you to start a journey of their own
Right.
progress. So I think that's an
Now,
important point.
it's funny you say that. Is this was my personal page. I put in it is now my business page. I still do post personal things every once in a while, right? I think you could post big things, like if you got engaged, post that. If you a
Mhm.
huge milestone, like when you graduate or do something, that's post
Open up your
worthy.
practice.
Right, all things like that. That's
Those
post worthy. But I think the daily stuff, where it goes best is in your stories, because people can tap through that really quick. There's a lot of options. It's gone in 24 hours. I think a hard set post, if you're looking at someone's feed and you're like, oh, I see Mitch is doing these 5 mobility drills, and these next ones are like all this vacation in Hawaii, be like,
Mhm.
well, I don't really care that. And then it almost hurts you in the back end because now people are not going to engage in that. And then we can talk the whole algorithm. But if you're not posting
Wait,
content that's worth engaging with, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
are you telling me my random vegan crock potting recipes aren't really moving the needle for people? Yeah, you have to, once you choose, like, especially at the beginning, think of like once you choose a niche, you're making your bed and you got to stay in that bed.
Right.
Now, as you grow a bigger following, you can start to ask
Mhm.
your audience. The key thing is ask your audience what other
Right.
content they might want to see. And then
Right.
that's when you can kind of branch out a little bit more. But if you want to grow and really get a tight knit following, it's not the total number of followers, but it's like
Mhm.
having fans, then
Right.
you really have to niche down and talk to that specific avatar.
Now, how important is it to keep a very similar style in how you post and what you post, right? Because let's say you're going from a talking head to you're doing a meme to now you're doing a non-talking video. Now you're doing like different cuts. Like if you're always changing your style too, well, now you don't have an identity there either. You have to still be niche specific in a sense. Would you agree with that? To say, hey, you don't want to just jump to all these different things. You're trying to follow all these different trends, and now you
Yep.
haven't solidified yourself even to begin with.
Yeah, you have to. I would say if you're posting content,
Mhm,
you got to stick to hopefully just one framework at the beginning, one
mhm,
style,
right,
until you realize it has traction or not, which we'll go into the other strategy we'll talk about in a little bit. But
mhm,
no more than three different types. So,
I
like if
agree.
you're going from talking head to trending audio to, I don't even know what else people do,
There's
like
so many
those
different, and I think
POV, like those
yeah,
POV posts, like all that, like if someone look, because I do this all the time, and I'm guessing other
Mhm.
people do. Sometimes you scroll and you're like, "Whoa, that was a really good post." Then you click on their profile, and there's no other posts like that one. Well, why would
Right.
I
Or they don't
follow
have
that
the
person?
followers. Yeah,
Because they're
exactly.
because if you post random things, you're going to get random results, and you're not going to see growth. Even if
Mhm.
you, and this happens too all the time. Even if your random post is one of the posts that went viral, people are going to go to your storefront, aka your homepage, and
Right.
then see that. Oh, I mean, that was a cool post, but he literally or she literally doesn't have any other posts like that. Why would I
Yes.
follow? Like, clearly, they just went viral
100%.
one time. They're a one hit wonder, you know?
You're exactly right, and that's what people do. I've done it. You see a great post, like, "Oh, this is awesome." You go to their page, like, that's not what they post. Or like, I've seen people that they post a meme and it blows up, and they still have 300 followers. So
Mhm,
just because you get that viral, everyone's searching for the viral thing. But if you don't have the stuff to back it up to show that that's what you are about, and I think that is why I started to gain traction on that post, is because I had like 100 pieces of content there sitting there before that one went viral. So if you looked at my page, you started scrolling, this is what he does. It was the same kind of caption, the same way I laid it out. All the videos between
mhm.
8 to 10 seconds. So they knew what they were getting. Like, you want to know what you're essentially purchasing or being a follower of, is you want to know what that product is.
Yeah, and it happens all the time where someone will go viral or viral for them as far as
Mhm.
something does like 10 times what their normal
Right.
like engagement and viewership might be. That's like the worst thing that could happen if you're posting randomly because you finally got one to go viral, but you have nothing to show for it. So that's where it's
Mhm.
really about trying to stick with a specific framework of content that works well for you. And I think that'll kind of feed into, I think we should just bring up the other
Let's do
topic.
it. What is 1B, Mitch?
The one B, I think it's the most important thing. Obviously, you have to pick your niche, so that's got to
Before
go in
you
the
get there,
front.
right.
But consistency
Yep.
is the number one strategy. If you post randomly, you're going to get random results. If you post,
Mhm.
once a week, you're going to get no growth, really. Like you have to come up with a game plan of how much is realistic for you to post. Again, it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be every single day when you're first starting out because this is a skill set and you're going to suck. My recommendation is do as much as possible at the beginning so you suck less as soon as
Mhm.
possible. So then if you have one that goes viral, they click on your other content and be like, oh, these posts are also good. They don't suck. So I'm going to follow
Right.
them. you know?
Well, like just today, if I went off my last two posts, which have done horrendous, but I know that's just based off Instagram, the algorithm, all these things. If I had those two and I quit, I'd be like, well, that stuff doesn't work anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. But then the next
Mhm.
day I could post and have 4,000 likes on it. It's just, you have to be, again, it's consistency. You see it all the time. I have friends that I know that post 5 days straight. They're super into it. They did all their posts and then they don't post for 6 days, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Well, guess
Mhm.
what? You did really great, and now you're gone for 2 or 3 months. And when you look at pages like that, I'll look when I follow somebody. I'm like, oh, they haven't posted now in 2 months. I'm not going to follow that page. Like, they want you to be constantly giving them the information they're craving.
Oh, yeah. I purge my followers every now and then.
Hmm.
Or like
Yeah.
sometimes a post will come up and be like, oh my gosh, I haven't, did the algorithm not feed me their content? I haven't,
Right. I don't
I
see
used to
them.
love, I used to love their posts and I click on it and be like, oh no, that's the first time posting. And
Hmm.
three, even 3 weeks is a long time. But say if it's like 3 months, then
Oh yeah.
of course, social media is never going to work. It's
Well,
definitely
hey,
social media. It's Instagram's fault.
do you ever see this too? When someone gets there, I've seen people that get to that 10,000 follower mark. Oh my god! And then they just stop. Or they go, now I can post twice a week. You're like, no, no, no. You still have to ride that for a little bit of time. Just because you get there doesn't mean you can fully just pull off the gas. You still have to do a certain amount. Because how many days a week are you posting currently after you've blown up to where you
Uh,
are?
I would say if on average this past year, I post just the weekdays, one day a week,
Right.
Monday through Friday. I've dabbled with experimenting on the weekends. I've done like a 30-day reel challenge where I post every
Hmm.
single day. But I would say I'm doing no less than five. So I'm rating at 5 to 7.
Hmm. And I think what it comes down to is we got to tell people it doesn't have to be consistent like you're posting every day, but like you got to post 4 times this week, 4 times the next week, 4 times a week. It doesn't mean post 5 in a row, go away for 5 days, post 3 in a row, go away for 6 days. It still has to have like week in, week out, producing the same amount of like content in a sense. Like I post every single day. I know I could probably back off. It's super easy at this point. It doesn't take me much time. I don't mind it. Maybe I'll at some point try to go back on it, but I'm cool with where I'm at. But again, it's a different strategy, and we're both growing at like the same rate, which is really awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, just think of, especially if you're just starting on social media, every post is just a data point at the beginning.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
not going to go viral. It's not going to go big. Sure, your Aunt Sally might like it, maybe share it on Facebook, but
mhm.
you're all you're doing at the beginning is collecting data points. So
Yep.
let me give like a rundown for the people. If you're just starting or you want to start growing on social media,
Mhm.
what I would do is post one reel, carousel, or regular post, whatever you like, and just post every single day for 30 days. Guess
Yeah.
what? At the end of
Mhm,
that 30 days, you can look back and now you have 30 data points to work with. What did
mhm.
well? What didn't do well? And then maybe you might see a framework or a path starting to appear where, this topic did better than others, whether it's like a specific
You know
body
that.
part or whatever, whatever you're talking. Yeah, yeah, whatever. You know my secrets. Can't tell the people just yet. Um, we got to keep them here longer than 2 episodes.
No kidding.
But once you realize what did better, guess what? You're going to do a whole another 30 days of doing what really did well that first month. And
Mhm,
then guess what? You have 30 more data points to work with. You're going to know what did well versus other things. And
mhm.
then you can really start to identify a framework that works well for you.
Right. And so what I did when I was doing this, right? I did 30 days. My content didn't necessarily grow more. I just got better at it. I understood CapCut better. I understood how to do my captions, how to make it more efficient, batch content. So guess what? The next 30 days, that was a breeze. And what's funny is I had all these data points and I reposted a reel. The one that went viral was a repost of something I made before that I thought was really good. It didn't make me do the grace. I was like, I really like that topic. Let's post again. That thing took my account over the edge. So you have all
Hmm.
this data in front of you going like, well, this, and for how many followers I have, almost 60,000 followers, I might only get 10,000 views on a video. So people do think it's like, well, I only got 1,000 views. You're like, but you have 500 followers. That's great. Like, that's a really good reel. Or you only got 30 likes, but you have 300 followers. That's 10%. Like, you have all these followers, but your engagement percentages are not what people really think. So you have to look at that and say, no, I didn't get 1,000 likes, but if you even got up to 50 after your first month, that's still very good when you look at the numbers, use your insights.
Yeah, I guess this is just because we're more experienced. I don't even care about the vanity metrics anymore. I mean,
Right.
at some
Doesn't
point
matter anymore.
when you're doing this a while, it's just a numbers game. Because
Mhm.
the algorithm, guess what? You know how many algorithm changes happen throughout the year, if not throughout the
Yeah.
week? And you
Oh,
know,
dude,
it's the
right
one
now.
exactly. Both of us are. See, this is
Dude,
the
I
good
had a
thing
yeah,
about
2 weeks ago.
collaborating. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we both saw huge growth just a couple weeks ago, and then we both dipped at the same time. It's probably not your content. Well, it could be if you're just
Mhm.
starting out. You suck. I mean, I sucked. I'm not going to
Oh,
sugarcoat
I don't wanna look back at mine.
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just trying to
But
archive all of them as soon as possible.
it's
But
like the stock market, right? You see these ups and downs, right? If you just pull out right when you start seeing it tank, it's like, well, hold on, it's gonna go back up. Like I have a video that's at 1.7 million views. Okay, but then the one yesterday had 5,000. Oh no, don't panic and say I'm done posting that. That was a bad piece. Kind of keep posting and watch the overall growth over the course
mhm,
of months. I mean, you have months where you only have 3,000 gained followers, and months you have 30,000 gained followers. It's just this crazy, and I think a lot of people can resonate with like it's like a stock market. Like you have to just keep the money in there and let it keep going, keep going, keep going. It's gonna go up. As long as you're showing up and doing the work, it's gonna get better.
yeah, I like that. That like if you're a day trader, but you only day trade 30 days throughout the whole year, you think you're going to have a whole bunch of success.
Yeah.
But if you do it every single day, eventually you're going to see patterns to where it
Mhm.
might not hit every single time, We don't have a viral
Right.
post every single time, but it's not
Never.
about that. If you're posting to go viral, then you're in it for
You
the
missed
wrong
it.
thing. Yeah, because
Mhm.
you are just trying to build a following of people that are fans of what you do, and those are going to turn into your customers. A viral
Right.
post doesn't, I mean, sure, you can make money off of a viral post, but if that's your goal, holy
Yeah.
smokes, is that an uphill battle where you're never going to find the top?
Yeah, it's those people who do the POV. Hey, I got this funny meme. It did great. And like, man, you got 1 million views. You wasted the last 3 months trying to do that. And guess how many followers you got of it? Like 0, because no one cares
Hmm.
about that. Or that's not what they follow. I don't follow a lot of meme pages for rehab. Like there's very few, but they make that their niche, right? And they only post that and they do very well. Now, do you monetize a meme page? Not really. I don't know a lot of chiropractic meme
Hmm.
pages that are, gaining a ton of, in terms of clients, patients, whatever it might be. So then again, it comes back to you have to set up what's your goal of this thing. Sure, you can be consistent and then niche down, but then again, if you're not shooting for the right thing, I talk to people like what are your goals with this? They go, I don't know, just have a big following. But why? Why do you want the following? Just because you have it. Again, when I went from 2,000 to 10,000 followers, nothing changed. I didn't have a shit ton of people coming through my doors. I didn't have all this money and all these clients because I still had
Hmm.
to build it. But that's just the first step. Okay, just define what you want to do and then be consistent.
Yeah, think of your online social media, Instagram, we're both big on, so that's usually what we're referencing. It's
Mhm.
just your brand. You're just
Yep.
showing people who you are. They're building brand trust with you, especially if you share really
Mhm.
good info that's share worthy, and that's how you really grow. There's a little nugget for you.
Little tidbit there,
Um,
yeah.
but that it doesn't matter how many follow. If you have 1 million followers, it doesn't mean you're making a dime off of it. I mean, the
Right.
ultimate goal is how do you monetize this? That'll go into different topics. I'll
Yeah.
plant some seeds now. Um, but yeah, when it comes to that, and this should be a different topic too, is setting your
Right.
goals. What are your expectations? Why are you trying to grow this? Is this for your practice? Is this for you professionally or personally? Two different growth strategies. So we'll dive into different topics with that. But the main thing is finding your niche, consistently post about it, collect the data points, you start to see patterns, and then guess what? What was working last time, double down on it, and
Right.
then you'll see what worked really well within that subset of data points, and then you just
Right.
rinse and repeat. You just audit your content once a month. What did well? What didn't do well? And you even said it doesn't mean like how many times have we posted like, oh, this one's it. This is
Oh,
fire.
and it falls flat.
Yes. Yeah. And then if that's the case, did everything fall flat around that time period? It could have
Right.
just been
There's a
an
lot of
algorithm
things.
change. So
Mhm.
if you thought something was super valuable, don't be afraid to repost it or you can remake
Mhm.
it in a different way. Um, as long as you're posting. I would rather you post just old posts than not posting anything.
Right. Well, what's funny is that one I just did that got went viral again. It was the spine one. It was like this spine movement or segment or twerking. And I was like, I sat on that video for like 2 months and I was like, this kind of seems stupid. I don't want to post it. Like it's not gonna do well. Best video I've ever done. And I
Mhm.
sat on that forever because I thought I put these own, notions in my head of like, this is not gonna be worth it. This isn't gonna be great. Well, I experimented with something different kind of even like text style on it instead of like how I presented it, and it did great. So I'm like, you don't vary too much, but something that you might not think is going to be valuable or worthy or go crazy will. It was still within my whole niche, but it was just one that I just thought, whatever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I could post it again. I could post it next week, and it could get 4,000 views. Like you don't know.
Yeah, and you're not gonna have a hit every single time. But li
Right.
if you think it's valuable, you think at least one person's gonna learn something from it, guess what? That one person could turn into a customer that buys every single one of your products in the future. So, you never know what's
Mhm.
gonna happen as long as you're not just throwing trending audios up there left and right. Like, this isn't 2022 anymore. Like,
Right.
you
Well, when
have
we
to
say
start.
trending audios, what do you mean by that? Not just having a trending audio on your post, but like,
So, good question, good clarification. Like the mouthing different things. Like everybody takes the
Just
same
trends. Yeah, like these
audio.
like funny memes and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good clarification because trending music, I would
yes.
say, is different than trending audios, even though they both fall under the
I almost
same
call them like just
umbrella.
like trends, essentially just trends in general, right? Like people are doing these like POV posts and all these things. Yeah, they're getting popularity, but very few of them then, fruit in anything that's worth it for you.
Well, guess what? There's no secret with anything that's trending because I don't use any trending audios, and
Wait,
I
really?
grew. Yeah, I don't use
Okay,
any
here's
trending
another
audios.
thing.
This is I
I've
use
only used
all
trending
original.
audios. That's crazy.
Yeah, see,
No way. Okay.
we have such a mix. I mean, every now and then, like if I don't do like a voiceover, like I'll throw one
Mhm.
up there, but I I would say less than 10 times last year I used like a actual
Mhm.
trending audio. And I just use I mean, is there music on there? Usually it's like your CapCut
Right.
commercial stuff that's um, free or copyright free. But yeah, for me, again, I'm biased by my own experience. I
Right.
would rather you try to build original content because that can show who you are and people are going to
Mhm.
gravitate to you. Because if you post the same thing everybody else is posting, there's no variety there. They're like, well, I already follow someone who does this stuff. I don't need
Right.
another person.
Mhm.
And that's where at the beginning you can start to copycat some things, but if that's
Yeah.
your strategy, you'll never grow as big as the person you're copying. So why even waste your time doing it in the first place?
Right.
Unless you're new to being on camera and that's a way for you to kind of break the ice. Because that's what I did. I did
Mhm.
some trending audios for the practice social media
I
page,
remember
and
those.
that
That's
got
how
me.
I first saw you.
Yeah, yeah, those are some deep cuts right there, and that got me
Uh-huh.
comfortable. And that got me comfortable on camera. So that I'm not against that, but if that's like your strategy to grow this into a business, you really need to hear this now.
Well, that's your practice, right? And that's what I did. I remember doing like the funny reels. Like I did get on camera. I was like, oh, this is really weird. But it broke the ice. I learned how to get on CapCut. The first thing I ever edited on CapCut was a reel that I did like a 2021 recap with my girlfriend. I was like, that was my first time editing a video. I was like, okay, all right, I'm
Hmm.
starting to learn this stuff. Like it wasn't even anything relevant because I wasn't even thinking of this stuff, but I was just like, let me at least figure out because most people couldn't even tell you where they start to edit a video. Most people don't know how to even like navigate social media. They do so little because they're not practicing it. Just like
Hmm.
anything else you do. If you want to be better at adjusting as a chiropractor, what are you going to do? You're going to do it a lot more versus once every 10 days. That doesn't make any sense. No one would argue that.
Yeah, yeah. And when I'm talking to other clinicians about growing online, I literally compare it to practicing. Were you the best clinician the first day, the first week, even the first year of practice?
Right.
No, but you showed up every single day. You started to see patterns with certain conditions every single day. And now you can really streamline your process. And that's the same thing for making content.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're a clinic, well, depends on what kind of clinician you are. If you're doing random rehab for certain areas, hoping something gets fixed because you don't know how to diagnose something properly, well, I'm sorry, you're gonna probably post random stuff online
Right.
and wonder why it doesn't work because it's all the same thing. It's just data points, diagnose why things are happening, and
Mhm.
then can it be reproduced?
You brought up a good point about like, hey, yeah, you weren't great your first year in the clinic. Now you started this page at the beginning of last year, right? Essentially 2023.
Mhm.
But you were
Mid
posting and doing
January.
social media. You were posting and doing social media before that. You were doing stuff with Reach, right? This was even before that page. So you had stuff you were doing. I get a lot of people that get discouraged that, man, I post every day for a month and I didn't see any growth. I'm like, yeah, if you look at us in the short term, yeah, I went from 30 to 40,000 followers in a month or whatever. Yeah, but all
Mhm.
that other stuff, the year and a half before learning it all, it's a skill. And I think there's another issue that people don't want to admit is they don't want to spend the time doing it. They want to do the bare minimum, make a quick reel, post it on there, and then that's it. Like you have to spend time learning this just like anything else. So if you have a busy practice and you don't want to give up the time to be consistent, then good luck on it. But it's a skill. You have to spend time. That's why we're saying consistency because you start to find the flaws, you find the things you're good at, and then you use that to level it up.
Well, and if you're a rehab provider, what patients get better the fastest? the ones that do the work, especially the ones that do the work at home. So if you're not doing the work, then don't expect the results. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's that's pretty obvious to me. I mean, if that's hurtful to you, then I mean, maybe this social media game isn't for you. But what you have to do, especially if you're starting out, you got to fail upwards, right? You just got to keep posting, and then guess what? I didn't just post and then just hope things worked. I posted and then started to research. How do I edit?
Right.
What's the best thing to edit? I mean, we both use CapCut. Um, and then, what are some CapCut hacks and other things? Develop
Right.
certain things to make our content.
Efficiency. Yep.
Yeah, and it takes a while at first. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no
does.
kidding. It's like anything worth it's going to take some time, some work. But I think another thing we should address with people is if you're trying to do this and you're immediately hiring out a company or someone to help you do this to start, probably not ideal, right? Like if you're already saying like, "Hey, I'm
No,
going to pay somebody to do all this for me," well, now you're missing learning all this. You're not going to understand. You're just trying to have someone do it for you, and you're going to miss it.
well, I'm glad you brought that up because I recently just invested in a social media manager slash editor, and
Mhm.
then I've been working with them for 2 weeks now. But I wouldn't have done that right away because you have to be in the trenches. You got to know what metrics you're looking at. You got to learn
Yeah,
how to make content. Because if you send it out right away, again, it depends. If you find a really good editor, it could make a
maybe.
difference, but if you don't know why they're editing, doing this, doing that, like you don't have any data points yourself on
Yeah.
this. And me, I selfishly like to know how to do every aspect of this. So
Mhm.
my thought process is I want to get into the trenches with growing this, growing email lists, which is a whole different topic, doing
Yep.
other things with an online brand. I want to figure it out for myself. And then guess what? During that process, I find out, oh, I hate doing this. At least I'm well versed in it and I know why I hate
Mhm.
it. Then I'll hire it out. But if you
Well,
if you just like, well, I'll just hire someone on Fiverr, I'm going to go viral overnight. Like it doesn't work that way.
you already had a brand, you had consistency, you had what you're like. Here's what I'm looking for. If I now showed an editor what my last 150 reels are, they'd be like, "Oh, I know exactly how to replicate it because it's these cuts, this text." Like that's super easy then. But if you don't have an identity and you're asking somebody else to create the identity for you, they don't know what you want. They don't know how you want to present it. So I just like to address that with people. They think, "Oh, I can't be consistent. I'll have someone else be consistent for me." Okay, well, you wouldn't do that for any other skill. So don't just try to hire out right away. That's something I feel like you have to earn in a sense. I've
Hmm.
seen people that have like 3,000 followers and they have already hired somebody out to do it all. They don't answer any of their DMs. They don't do any of this stuff. And I think I haven't seen like any growth from a lot of those pages, or unless the growth that they're expecting.
Yeah, I think you got to get dirty. Expect to suck for at least 3 months. And as
Yes.
long as you're doing something every day to improve it, new edit, doing some more research on topics, like being proactive in some way, you're going to get better. It's just like practicing. Like you get enough reps, even if you suck, you're going to get good eventually, or you're going to get better than terrible, I guess. Because there's some bad clinicians out there, but I think you get what I'm saying. Like, as
I
long as
agree.
you're falling upwards, even if you're falling and failing along the way, you're going to continue climbing,
Yeah.
and that's what both of us did. We didn't even start talking until we already had a following base, and even though we did things differently, the one common thing that was there is we were just consistent. And it's not just being consistent; it's also learning and trying to get better at your craft as you're doing it.
Mhm.
Like who does something wanting to be average? Like you're
Right.
gonna suck, which is okay. And then you continuously work at something, and then eventually you're above average. And when you're above average, you get above average results. And then when you're really good, you start getting really good results. This isn't just social media, this is just any skill in life. It's
Right.
no different.
I think a lot of people could look at themselves and say, "Hey, yeah, I've posted every day and my stuff looks the exact same. I haven't evolved it. It's not getting the likes or views. I've done nothing. I've done the same thing over and over and over and over, and you're not getting results." Like if you look at my first post, I had no cuts. I didn't have a second camera angle. My text was just always different across the screen. Like I I slowly evolved it to what it is. So if you're the person that's been, I posted 100 days in a row, but it's not great content. It's not like you haven't changed it, then I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to look at it eventually and say, how do I make this a little bit better? Not completely change it, but how do you upgrade? And I'm not talking crazy lighting, crazy microphones, crazy cameras. Because Mitch, what do you use for what's your camera?
Right here,
Yep.
my iPhone.
This is it. It's an iPhone. Now, eventually, right?
14 Pro to be exact.
That's what I'm at.
I think the 15 Pro's out, but you don't even need the latest and greatest. Because no one cares, especially for short form content. Now we'll get into longer form
This is a whole nother
content
topic.
and growing YouTube. That stuff you want higher quality because you got to keep people's attention for 5 to 10 to even 15 minutes long. But short form content, everybody's got filters anyways. Like you don't need anything fancy. Have I invested in a mic since then? Yes. Have I invested in a light since then? Yes. But it wasn't even before my growth.
Right. I was going to say, did you do that to get there? No. You now got to go, how do I maybe add some things in to make it better? But you still had, because you can have the best lighting, the best microphone, the best camera, but have terrible content and be super inconsistent and nothing changes. Like I look back at the reel I had that went viral. Dude, the quality of that video was horrendous because it was 2 years ago on an old iPhone, but it still did well. It got me where I need to be.
Yeah, exactly. You can't overthink the details. That's an advanced move. And that's why this is the first true episode. So we're just going over, just get started and just post at least 5 to 7 times a week. Like I said, I like the 30-day challenge and then back that up with another 30-day challenge, collecting data points. But it's also, again, I like think of it as practicing. If I go 2 years without going to a new course, trying to learn a new technique, my patient care is going to look the same exact way that whole time, So you got to sprinkle in self-education. Online courses are there for a reason. There's so much free content on YouTube, how to, shoot high quality iPhone 13 videos. Like those videos exist. You just got to do the research and then you got to do the work.
100%. So let's recap it, right? It's 1A and 1B. 1A, pick your niche, whatever. 1B, consistent. Nice thumbs up there.
Yeah. It works on
that's it. It's crazy. Pick what you want to do it consistently, take all those data points, and then evolve from there. That is the most basic. And I think a lot of people might be surprised. Like they're waiting for us to tell this like crazy thing, like, hey, you have to post at this time. And those are little details that maybe matter a little more over time. But it is really, I hate to say it, that simple, but most people can't do it.
And even if you tell people this, they're looking for the home run hit. Right. It's the home runs will happen if you keep swinging the bat. You're going to run into one every now and then. So that's where you can't, if you're posting everything to go viral, again, that's just a wrong strategy and mindset to have. You should be posting to build an audience, give them value. And then I like to say, kill them with content. Just keep giving them valuable content over and over again. And eventually you're that expert for that person. And guess what? Right. When you eventually have programs, courses, whatever you want to sell online, an ebook, then who's lining up at the door? Not anyone who's going to see your viral post today. It's the people that have been following you this whole time and they saw the journey of you getting better. That's the best thing. Like when I started launching my programs, it wasn't just random people. It was the people that have been following me, who've been commenting on my stuff, who've been hitting me up in the DMs. It's the people that have been there along the way. And that's the people you need to focus on, not trying to go viral 100%. And get as many followers as possible. Because if you make good content, the following is going to happen. It's inevitable. You're going to break through eventually, but you just your priorities got to be set straight.
Right. Like, hey, if you want to get better at basketball, you're not just going to go start by shooting half-court shots thinking you're going to learn basketball. You're going to start with the fundamentals, free throws.
Which one's more fun?
Things. Right. And that's what everyone thinks. Like, I want to hit the half-court shot. It's going to look so cool. Like, I'm going to hit this great reel. But then you never did any of the other stuff before that. So I hope we got the point across to most people. This is like the very fundamental, rudimentary stuff that people need to know. Yes, we drew it out a little bit, but it really is that. Like, we have two great case examples, you versus me. We've done completely different things in a sense. Like, we just found out the whole audio thing, but when you strip it to its bare bones, the fundamentals are the exact same. And then
Yep,
look
we
at the
just
people in our
posted. Consistently, not well, and consistency is several things. Consistency with posting and consistency with education and trying to get better. If you don't get better, your content's not going to get better and you're not going to grow. I mean, I don't know how that just seems obvious because literally every single skill, social media is just a skill. It's not
yeah.
getting lucky, going viral. It's like if you
Mhm.
throw enough darts at the dartboard, especially high quality darts, they're gonna hit.
Right, because people be consistent. They tell me, hey, I post every single day. One day was this random picture, one day was this reel, one day was this. And yeah, 3 of those 30 things did really well, but you didn't capitalize on any of those and do them again. You just kept posting all the random things. Sure, you were consistent, but you never evolved that. So if I kept doing the things I originally posted, like a random picture after my workout, that's not
Mhm,
going to go and gain any traction. That's not going to tell anybody what I'm like trying to help them with. It's just a picture. So yeah, you might just be like just trying to post whatever you got at your disposal, but then taking
mhm.
that and figuring out what worked and now duplicating that and making that even better, right? So I have a couple big things that people might notice. Like, I have certain posts that I know are heavy hitters that I keep posting every once in a while because those are the ones that really drive and push the needle for me, and then I'm
Mhm.
consistent with all the other stuff. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
we
I think
don't
that's all we
post the
got.
same thing. We don't post the same thing. I think that's important. You don't have to post what we post. You don't have to copy what
Right.
we do. You just got to find what
Hey,
works well for you.
what happened when you did something that I do that usually does really well? What happened with it?
I don't know what you're talking about. All my posts
You
are
did like a
perfect.
stop one of these stretching things, right? Like, the first one you did was like not great,
Yeah.
right? But
So this
because
is a
your
good
audience was a little
plug.
different. Yeah.
This is a good plug, especially if you have questions, reach out to us. Our handles will be in the description. They're on the screen right now. So this feeds into our future coaching that we're going to be doing for people
Yes.
who need that mentor, who can help them see those data points, and really put together a good plan based on your goals. Reach out to us too. We're just starting our coaching. This will probably be the cheapest it ever is. So jump on it
That's the
before
time.
we officially launch.
Well, that's it, right? It's, hey, we're doing this for a reason. Here's all the free information we're going to give you. If you need more help with this stuff, because there is some more details and maybe some more things we can help keep you accountable, that's what we're going to be here for. But you can start with these podcasts, learn as much as you want, ask us some questions, the things that we can help you quickly with. Awesome. If you need more help on things, just like anything else that's out there in terms of coaching, that's what we're trying to do for people.
Yep. Yeah. Enjoy the free content. And if you need those mentors, reach out to us. And then, should we tease them with the next topic? What do you
Yeah,
want
go
to do
for it.
next? What do you want to do next?
I was just going to ask you, what is our next topic? We have a bunch of them.
I
And
think
we'll
a
figure
good
that
one
another
would
time.
be how important the time of day you post, and then maybe we'll
Oh,
throw
yeah.
hashtags on there too. Maybe it'll be two separate episodes. But stay tuned. That'll be dropping soon. And then just remember consistency and consistently learn how to get better at what you're doing.
How about this? It's going to be how to optimize it then. We're going to go, yeah, you're consistent, but how are these little things that can optimize it? Hashtags, time of day, what you do with your engagement. Those are the added bonuses once you've done the base work, which is consistency.
Yeah, there's some layers to this onion. And don't worry, we're going to keep getting
We'll
deeper
keep
and
peeling back.
deeper, especially because the ultimate goal is how to turn this into a business so then you can start practicing part time. Again, I'll plant those seeds now. And if that's something that interests you, then you're going to want to stick along with us on this journey as we keep educating you. So then you can practice part time and live your life and make more money.
Mhm. Something I also want to throw in there, which I should put in the intro. The whole reason I went to go do my own thing and open my own practice because I had an income and a following from social media. If I didn't have that, I didn't have that safety net. I didn't have to worry about overhead. I didn't have to worry about these things because I had this stuff here sitting there for me. And now we're just growing that even more. But there is, I mean, a lot of people don't realize there is a lot of value to it. And it can open some doors. It can make things a lot easier for you. But we'll get in all that stuff.
It goes into local partnerships if you want to run a practice or online.
Mhm.
There's so many things we're going to dive into, but we got to bookmark this.
All right.
So
Work on this.
I think if you're still listening, we are just going to just jam so much information down your throat, but it's okay. It's all right. You're going to learn. And especially if this is something you're serious about, I'm biased, but I think you have the right two people giving you the advice along the way. All right.
We hope so.
Kyle, any last words?
No, man, I'm excited. This was fun. Hopefully people enjoy it. Like I said, I think the best thing is we're going to have conversation. We don't really plan a lot of this out. We have a topic. We're just going to go off the rip on most of this, which should make it a little more enjoyable. We're not like robots reading off a script here. But if anyone has any feedback, questions, leave it for us. We'll do some Q&A sessions maybe here soon, and we'll see where this takes us. Topics, yeah, whatever you guys want to know. I love it.
All right.
All right, Mitch.
Peace.